Downing Street is in chaos and the economy has flatlined. Now, with just a couple of weeks to go until we find out what's really in Rachel Reeves' budget, Britain's bosses are getting restless. Welcome to The Week in Business with me, Christian May. It used to be the case that chancellors went quiet in the run-up to a budget, keeping their powder dry and their mouths shut. But now it seems Rachel Reeves gives a set-piece weekly update on just how bad things are going to be. First, there was the bizarre Downing Street speech in which she told the country that 18 months into office, she's discovered everything's a right old mess and it's all the fault of previous governments and other countries. Then earlier this week, she sat down with the BBC to explain that things are so bad, there's a very good chance that she's going to have to break her manifesto promises not to raise the big taxes. I could stick to those promises, she said, but then I'd have to cut spending. And remember, no Labour Chancellor comes into office to cut spending. The context for all this, for the budget, is an economy that grew 0.7% in Q1, 0.3% in Q2 and 0.1% in Q3. The economy actually contracted in September. If you find all this deeply frustrating and more than a little bit worrying, you are not alone. Britain's business leaders are speaking out. This week, the executive chair of Fuller's, one of the UK's biggest listed pub chains, said the government needed new ideas and new thinking if it is to live up to its ambition to grow the economy. I am frustrated by the lack of a clear plan to deliver the growth the Chancellor claims to be seeking, he said. Meanwhile, Mark Carpenter, chief executive of car dealership Motorpoint, told City AM that months of leaks and trails over which taxes the government might hike in the budget is hugely unhelpful and putting doubts into the minds of consumers. He added that it's not great if you're going into a Christmas period with everybody not sure how much money is going to be in their pockets. And Jenny Daly, chief executive of the house builder Taylor Wimpey, said this week market conditions remain challenging, impacted by uncertainty ahead of the upcoming budget and continued affordability pressures. Graham Bell, the boss of B&Q, told City AM this week that when people feel secure about the future, they invest in their homes, their skills, their communities, and that's when the economy starts to move. Clearly, we aren't in that position at the moment. Last week, Sainsbury's boss, Simon Roberts, warned that we don't want to see further impacts that may cause further inflation from the budget. And in September, BT chief Alison Kirkby told City AM we're already at peak government-inflicted costs. Meanwhile, a slew of banking bosses have pleaded with the Chancellor not to tinker with their corporate tax rates, and it seems not a day goes by without another business voice pleading with the government not to mess things up. I fear that those pleas are falling on deaf ears. In addition to a steady stream of stories about which taxes the Chancellor intends to raise, and by the way, let's just rattle some of them off: income tax, dividend tax, alcohol duty, inheritance tax, property taxes, gambling taxes, pension taxes. I mean, that's just enough to get us started. We now have a similarly unwelcome series of leaks about where the Chancellor is going to turn on the spending tap, starting obviously with the NHS, but also, of course, on increased welfare spending. The public is demoralised by all this. Now, I know this because we poll the public every month, and here's what they're telling us. Just under half of Brits say their living standards have worsened over the last 12 months, compared to just 14% who have seen an improvement. Lucky them. Almost 60% expect living standards will worsen over the year ahead. Over 3/4 of Brits say they feel the country is heading in the wrong direction. This, by the way, has risen consistently every month in our polling since May. Perhaps most worryingly of all, just 29% of people agree with the statement that Britain is a country of aspiration where people are encouraged to aim high and succeed. Just a quarter agree that Britain is a country that rewards hard work. And instead of offering us any hope or business any certainty, we're faced with the absurd spectacle just 2 weeks before one of the most consequential budgets in living memory of Downing Street descending into chaos amid leadership speculation, rumours of plots and coups, and a confidence-sapping political pantomime. Keir Starmer promised us a politics that treads a little more lightly on people's lives. Do you remember that? Instead, for many people, it feels like we're being walked all over. For businesses trying to plan, trying to grow, trying to turn a profit, trying to invest, it's far from an ideal state of affairs. The message from business leaders and from me, for what it's worth, is simple. Get a grip. And now on a more uplifting note, some exciting news that City AM will be broadcasting live on Budget Day from the London Stock Exchange. We'll be streaming that across platforms from 2 p.m, analysing the budget, the fallout from the budget for the city, for politics and for all of us. And I'll also point out that our app, as you can see from this snazzy ad campaign, is flying. New partner, thank you very much to Investec, sponsoring the app, but we've now got over 250,000 downloads of that. I think it's really good. I think you should download it yourselves. And in the meantime, I will see you next week. Do stay up to date and in the know on that City AM app and via cityam.com. And I'll see you next week.